What is up, everybody? Welcome back after 2 weeks, roughly.
2 weeks.
It feels like a
2 week
month.
vacation.
Well,
It
I'll
does
tell
feel
you,
like a long time. Yeah.
it does. Anyway, you figured this is episode number 8. 8 is great.
I was-
Mm.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Ocho.
The Ocho. Dude, I'll go with that. It is the Ocho. But, this is a good thing because it's actually a pretty cool band. I will admit, the Smashing Pumpkins, I really have not listened to them at all.
Not really. Other than
The hits.
the hits on the radio.
Yeah, that's all I really got from them. And I would catch like a live video or live session with them or something like that randomly. Stuff like that. So this was kind of interesting going down this rabbit hole, but I'll tell you what, getting down this rabbit hole, another 12 albums. So 2 weeks was a very nice to digest, if you will.
Yeah. I missed 3 of them, but
I'll make it up. Don't worry about it.
I know you will.
Well,
I know you will.
All right. Well, today's sponsor is going to be my brother's site, Lures, which my brother actually a couple days ago is selling his lures in a shop now. So he's
cool.
in a bass shop where he's making all these to actually he put more on. He put those on. I saw that. So he is selling them in these bass, not Bass Pro, but like a fishing shop as of last week. Yeah, so
That's super cool, man.
Yeah, no shit. It's kind of a big deal. I was like, wow. He's like, yeah, man. He just makes them, put some labels on, give them to the guy, and the guy gives them a cut. And he's like, just give me what you can. And he's been like, he's been going crazy making them. So it's pretty cool.
That's awesome, man. Good for him, dude.
Hey, my brother's in the chat.
Hey.
Check it out. Yeah. Dude.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. It's a big deal. It's a big deal. All right. Are we ready to do this?
Yeah, let's go, man.
All right. So we'll go through. I guess the only one you didn't get to, I'll get to that one. But other than that, we got 12 albums to go through, which is a pretty good number for a band that's been around, 91, 92.
Yeah.
They've been pretty consistent with their albums. A little bit of a history of certain players, stuff like that. Change it in and out. It's always been Billy Corgan, which is, I will give him kudos. He's a big Rush fan. And I'll tell you what, if you paid attention to a lot of the stuff, it's very influenced of Rush. I really could tell in a certain way. So,
yep.
But further ado, let's go ahead and get to it. Let's see what we got. And I got some people that gave me their top 3, top 5 lists too. So
nice.
Yeah. So I had a couple people do that. I don't know if my brother listened to Smashing Pumpkins. It's just one of those bands I never cared to listen to be honest. I kind of regret it.
They have a certain sound.
Yes, they have a certain sound.
And we start off with this album right here.
Door. Ugh, dude.
Oh,
who do you want? Do you want to start, or you want me to start?
I mean, I'll just go and say there was definitely a certain mood about this album.
Moody.
it was pretty terrible. I can understand if you're in that mindset, if you want to be moody and sit in your room in the dark and whatever, then that would be the album you listen to. But
so
I couldn't even find one song I like that.
So I wrote down this as of one. This is the worst album from them for me. I believe this is the worst one. I gave it a 4 out of 10.
Is there like a Z category at the bottom?
Dude, you know what? That's funny you say that. Let's write 0, like their song. Because I tell you what, it belongs.
That's where that
it belongs there, dude. I'm actually surprised you listened to him. Well, that's my job, my bro. That's my job. I have to listen. It's not fair to rate a band if you don't give the whole catalog a listen. It's not. It's not fair. You know, do I give you a math test on your first day of school? Probably not. You know, it's not fair. But what did I say? I said, number 1, bored of the album. I was bored as hell.
Oh, yeah. It was like, I was just like, wait, is this over yet?
A lot of songs did not fit on that album, too. Like, it was just weird. I understand they tried something different. It just didn't work.
No.
And think about this. That's their follow-up to Melancholy. And you pulled that out of the bag? I don't know, man. Okay, let me make a. I feel that it's like Injustice and Black Album. The Left and Right Turn, that was their Left and Right Turn, I feel like.
I can see that. And so was that when there was like a lot of, I don't want to say turmoil.
Yes, it was.
But there was like a lot of things going on with the band. He was really depressed, and
well, his mom died during this making, and he was going through a divorce at the same time too.
So hence the depression. Yeah.
But they were like, this is like the most anticipated album, and he pulled that out, and they were like, what? We can't do nothing with this. And
yeah,
I will give Billy Corgan a lot of props. The man does what he wants.
Oh yeah.
He's Neil Young. He is where he has that the Rush mentality. You don't like it now, but you'll like it later on. I don't see how anybody would like it later on. I don't.
I don't.
I don't.
I really don't.
Yeah. Funny enough, the worst album I thought of is the very first one that we got to deal with. It's like,
well, yeah, that was the first one.
It was terrible.
I would not recommend that to
anyone.
It
will make you depressed to listen to.
Yeah, it did. I was just like, man, I need to find, like, let's move this along to something else.
Right.
And then the next one that I listened to, I was like, oh, well, okay.
This is better. All right. Oceania. This is 2012 Oceania. I believe the band was back together during this time, or at least no. Let me take that back. Billy Corgan was the only one in it. The band dismembered, so he's got all new players on it.
All new people in this one.
Yeah, all new people.
It was definitely a different sound for sure, and it was still the Smashing Pumpkins sound, but different. Like, because Jimmy Chamberlin is like a jazz drummer, right?
Sure.
And so they started bringing in like drum machine stuff and other guy, whoever he was. I'm sorry.
Tommy Lee.
Was it Tommy Lee on this one?
I believe so. Either this one or a different one.
I do recall something about that now that you mentioned it. I do, but
I think it was this one or Machina. I can't remember. But one of my things, I gave this a 7.5. I enjoyed it.
Up there. I did. It was. I mean, I think.
I wrote
Oh,
down best sounding album. I think it was
it
one of the best
definitely
ones.
it definitely was one of the best sounding ones for sure.
The album flowed very nicely with the songs. I think the songs placements were actually very good. And the
Yeah.
biggest one I took away, very Rush oriented because of the up and down feelings of the songs. They are
Mhm.
really good at with that
At doing
formula, that Dream Theater
Mhm.
Rush type of
That
crescendo
proggy, yeah,
of your
yeah.
feelings. I'll I would put this as a low A, top B.
Yep.
I will
That's what
put,
I would do. I feel like for some reason that One Diamond, One Heart song really is popping out to me for some reason.
fair enough. I didn't really
And I
have
can't remember
a
why.
song. Like, I tried to think of a song that's like, man, this is a really good song. For me, their albums were kind of I let it flow. I really didn't try to, but I think if I'm not mistaken, this CD. Let me go back to it. Sorry, this album. I said CD. Um, this
Were
album.
you in the 90s?
Hey, showing my age.
Old man,
Old
your old
man.
man glasses.
Um, but they had kind of a weird song, Pinwheels. But like then they
Yeah.
had Oceana, which was like a 9-minute epic. So
That was really good too.
it
If I remember.
was. That's where I
Yeah.
got the Rush. Oh, you're using my feelings of the album. It has the hard side to the soft side to the easy side to the weird side. He's really good at doing that.
He's very good at doing that.
He is very good. And,
Yep.
give credit to him. Dude, when he thinks of it, he doesn't care what people think. He
No.
does not care. Billy Corgan even said in an interview the other day, don't expect to come hear the hits of my show. I'm going to play what I want to play, and you're going to like what I give you. If you don't, hit the door. I'm like, hey, man, I appreciate that. I think that's a true artist. I feel like Billy Corgan, he is an artist. Like you have people that just sing, but he's a true artist in its own way. I really appreciate that about him too.
Yeah, no, I mean,
One way or another, I
yeah.
really appreciate that about him. Let alone so. Yeah, I really dug this one. I really
I
did.
did. Yeah.
So what happened to me was that I accidentally listened to like the albums not in order.
Oh, really?
I messed up with it because two of them I didn't have on Apple Music. So being with that, I didn't. I didn't listen in order. Yeah. So some of them, it was my feeling at the time. You know what I mean? That type of deal. So.
Yeah, I didn't get the two that are not on any platforms either.
Oh, Zygeist and
Zeitgeist
and
Machines Part 2 or something.
Yeah, see, I had to listen to them today. Those were the two I didn't listen in order. Being with that, and it is Moments in Elegy.
Moments to an Elegy. Yeah, that one. This one surprised me because it was a short album.
It was, yeah.
And I was like, oh, hey, all right, that's different.
Yeah. I gave it a 6.5 to a 7. My notes were it starts good, but it has too much of the electronic sounds in it.
Yeah.
And the production, dude, every Pumpkins album, production is always good.
Yep, this sounds like he might have just done this on like his laptop at home.
Right? I mean, the album was in 2014, so
Yeah, it's like I say, it started out good. Like that one and all is a really good track.
Sure. Yeah. What else?
The opening track, Tiberius, is good.
Tiberius, that's where I said the first three were just good and it got you in this mood. And when that electronic stuff came in, I'm like, oh, here we go again.
Yeah, and I was like the drum and fife one, I was like, okay, that's interesting. Because I'm thinking, like that's going to be some kind of like interlude thing with, drums and marchy stuff.
Sure. Yeah. I say, what would you put this in?
I mean, again, there's only 9 songs on it.
Sure. Is this Lawnmower?
It's definitely. I mean, I could probably cut the grass to it. Yeah.
Do you think this is a 0 though? Like, do you think this is?
No, because I mean, there's some good stuff on it that it's definitely lawnmower worthy, I would say.
So I was thinking that too. It's I can sit there and just let it play. It's one of those I would pick through. It's like I felt like it was a 6 at first, then it started with a 7. It went down to a 6.5 to me.
It's a good background. Like if you're doing anything else,
sure,
and it's just on. It's a good, just to have in the background, like playing Candy Crush or something.
Sure,
Not really paying attention to what's on there, but yeah.
Okay, all right. Starting out, it's only a B, a lawnmower, and a
0.
0. Let's see. Smashing Pumpkins. Let's go.
Did it just spin the other way?
I think it did. Dude, I was thinking the same thing too.
Did it like counterclockwise for a second?
All right, let's see. This one's oh no, it went to which one's that one? Is that Machina 2?
I don't know.
Yeah, I think it is. Yep. That's the second one, Machina 2.
Yep, I did not have the pleasure of that one.
Okay. So I can tell you this much. When I listened to that album, it was not in order. So I listened to Machina, and then I went all the way to Oceania. So I skipped Machina and Zeitgeist. I gave it a 7.5. It was really good. I have a comment, but this comment goes with a different comment, but we haven't got to it yet. This one should have been a double album. Machina 2 should have been a double album. I really do, because a lot of songs on there, and actually I wrote that some songs sounded like the end of Machina, like together. Like they should have been. Like Load and Reload maybe should have been a double album too, to be honest.
Probably.
It might have made it better.
Yeah. It probably would have, yes.
I said it started out strong, should have been a double album, and some of the songs should have went into it, but it sounded great. I gave it a 7.5. I think I like it a lot better than Oceania. I think it's a B. It's listenable. Maybe not to go back to, but it was very listenable. I could listen to it all the way through with no problem. Standout. Oh, Um, it's one of those albums where you could hear the hard rock part, you could hear the old band and the new they were trying to kind of bring in. Um, Maybe not like slap in the face like Adore, like,
Yeah.
but it was like they threw a little electronics here and there, but it was tasty. It wasn't like, um,
Wasn't overkill.
it wasn't overkill. It is a good album. I was quite surprised. It was a palate cleanser from what I listened to. So up to Cree, sure. Before Autumn, I want to say Autumn. It was a palate cleanser. It's a good album. I think it's really good. I just wish they would have did a double album with it, to be honest.
I guess they figured, well, been there, done that.
Well, I think a lot of times when I believe this is when the group got back together, like Hard and Heavy, or it was three of them. They just had the juices flowing.
Just kept rolling with it.
Just kept rolling. Maybe stuff was a lot better. Everything was better. I think they were on a new record label. I think during that time too. It was kind of
right.
Yeah, Napalm. They were on Napalm Records. I was like, what? I was like, okay, that's cool. I think if you listen to Machina to that one together, like, it's a good album. It's good. But he does this peaks and valleys. Sometimes he does too much of a valley to come back to a peak.
To a peak, yeah.
Back to a peak. Way too much. Is it
Siamese Dream?
No.
Nope.
Zeitgeist.
I got nothing on this one either.
I actually gave it an 8. This is another one seemed to be with a new and old at the same time. They feel the old style and they kind of started a new one where being Zeitgeist, I think it was 2008.
I think like 7 or 8, yeah.
7. Dude, his voice still sounds, it took me by surprise. I was like, man, this just sounds so good. And but the flow of the album was a little bit off. Like some songs you were kind of drawn back. Not saying they're bad songs, but it just I feel like when it started out like Doomsday Clock to Seven Shades and it went to Tarantula, when it got to like different songs, you're like, why? They have a tendency to do that for a lot of their later albums. Like, they try to do this roller coaster thing, unlike the old ways of certain things they did. Me giving it an 8, I say I'll give it an A. It's a low A, but it's an A from me. Nonetheless, it's an A from me with that. So, let's see. And all right, let's go back to Smashing Pumpkins. Okay. Yeah, those two albums were kind of strange. You couldn't get them. Like Zeitgeist was like a popular album when it came out.
Yeah, I don't know if it was record label stuff or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. You get a softball.
Yep, right. I mean, this is the album, right? Like, if
it is. But do you want my real take on it? You remember when I said Machina 2 should have been a double album?
Right. This should not have been one.
Correct. I feel like it should have been 2 separate albums.
Yeah.
I think their third album, they did a double album. That's unheard of, man.
Yeah.
What guts? That's guts right there.
Yeah. Well, because I think there was a lot of stuff going on with this one too, right? Like this one might have been where he was going through some depression, and I think was it was Darcy and James Eha were like dating, and I think they broke up during this time or something during the recording process, and so all those feelings were there.
You don't do it, no doubt. You don't date in the band.
So
you don't date in the band. You just don't.
You don't.
I gave it an 8. I think it's a strong album.
It's definitely up there. I feel, and again, like you said with like the roller coaster thing, I think there was too much of it.
Yes. That's where the double album is the problem, though, because you're letting it be as one, and it should have been separate.
And I feel like if you either kept like the heavy stuff on one album and the weird, not heavy stuff on another one, that could have worked.
It's a strong album.
It's really good.
I wrote should have been a single album. The hits were just coming off of this album. It was hit after hit. This is the one where
everybody knew who they were.
This is their Master of Puppets. This is their, third. Everybody's third album is always a big album. I feel like you have an idea on the first one. Megadeth's was, fourth album.
My business.
Peace Sells were their biggest. That brought them to the stratosphere, but so far was not commercial, but Rust in Peace. They're kind of the 4. Rain and Blood for Slayer, right?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Then you have Among the Living, and you have Master of Puppets. Third albums always it's like your first album, you're trying to figure it out. Second album, you figure it out, but you're trying to establish yourself. And your third one, you figure both of those out to the third one.
Yep. Then you phone it all in.
I say this goes, I'll say an S tier.
Yeah.
It has to be. I might give it an 8, but dude, you can't deny this album.
Yeah, and there's actually some sleeper stuff on there too.
Right?
Like Ode to No One is a great song.
Yes.
And then what is I'm looking here. Oh,
Bodies.
Man.
Bodies.
Yeah.
Bodies was a good one. But
I really like Jelly Belly. That one surprised me.
I did too. Yeah. I like the name of it. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. 33 is another good one.
Yes. Yes. I mean,
XYXU, that's another good one.
So being with,
and then after, it seems like to me, like after that XYXU, then it just started to go down, and it's like we should be in the fire pit.
Yes, dude, you're exactly right. That's just one of those things where I think they shot the biggest bullet they could. I feel like a lot of those songs could have been EPs, like B-sides. Dude, if they had Tonight, Zero, Bullet, Bullet, and they had 79 on one album, dude, technically it was. Let me revert back. Technically it was.
But all on the same disc.
Yes, all on the same disc. I have to put it in S. I have no choice.
No, it's there.
People would be upset with me.
I know we're trying to get those cease and desist letters, but this one, we're all in agreement that is an S tier album.
It is, man.
That is the album.
It So my two friends, Rhonda and Tony. Tony is a good friend of mine in Runyon. Rhonda is somebody I know through Twitter. She's really nice. She loves those classic, like oldies, 80s albums and such. But what happened, what is it? their first is Melancholy.
Melancholy.
It is.
It is.
So being with that, that's their number one album. I feel like it's everybody's number one album, right?
Yeah, I think it's my number one album for them.
Yeah, that's. I mean, it's cool, you know, but it's just how I feel about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I can't deny it. I can't go. The people have spoken. The people have won this one. All right, where are we down? We're down.
You crazy people.
You crazy people. I love you guys. Let's see. Is that the shiny whatever?
Shiny bright.
Oh, so bright. What weird names for these albums.
Well, again, he's an artist, and you know.
Yeah. Hey, this is another
short one.
Very short one.
It's 8 songs, but
what did you think?
I liked it.
Okay.
I felt like, again, they had the there were electronics in there for sure, but it was still like a kind of like an going back to the old school kind of way of doing stuff. And actually, that I really like that Solara song.
Okay.
That's on there. It reminded, because I thought, I was like, this is what Nirvana would sound like if Kurt Cobain was still around.
Wow, okay, I didn't put that together. So I gave it a 7. Maybe 7.5. It was kind of one of those things. I wrote Billy Corgan writes good songs for hard rock and pop.
Yeah.
It's a hard rock poppy song, but he writes good songs. His vocals are really good. The bass in the mix is really good. It caught me. I was like, wow, man, that's really good sounding bass to it. And I wrote Marching On is an awesome, awesome song. that's what I wrote. Marching On that's one of those songs I wrote.
That's one of those ones that you can just. It's a good, yeah.
So
it gets you feeling good.
It does. I feel like he always has a battle of hard songs or poppy songs, like radio friendly songs. I feel like I could say Corgan, but Smashing Pumpkins in general, their team, right? I gotta say, they write songs, I feel like a lot of times for radio, and then you have these ones you're like, oh man, that's pretty cool. All right. I appreciate it. I know other people are not, but I appreciate it.
And that might be part of his thing too, where it's like, okay, we're going to put these radio hits out, but we may or may not play them live because I like this song better that didn't make it to the radio.
What a genius plan. That's such a genius plan. That's a smart dude, man. I'll tell you what, he is very smart. He is very outspoken sometimes, but the guy is smart about music.
Oh, yeah.
He understands the concept. He understood back in the day radio contracts and, record contracts. I feel like when Melancholy came out, I think he figured out, let me write hits to get to our other stuff. Yeah, I feel like that was it. Where would you put it to you?
To me, this one, I would give it like a low A, high B.
Okay. I'll do a low A. I feel like it was, I gave it a 7, but there again, when you listen to all the albums, you start to notice certain trends that are happening. Yeah. This kind of fell into it. And you can tell by the album cover, it was during that time they were trying something different and trying, to broaden their appeal, if you want to call it that.
Sure.
To be relevant again, if you will.
Yep.
You're 30 years in, man. You kind of
got to do something.
You got to do something. I can appreciate
Yeah.
being around for that long. You could still, but a lot of these albums, you feel like, well, this LP sounds like that LP, or in the later days, you kind of felt like it when it got to these albums. You know what I mean?
The big triple album that I was almost going to listen to today.
How do you say that?
I ran out of time.
Atom?
Yeah, we'll call it Atom.
Atom.
Who knows?
I gave it a 6. Altogether, it's 3 albums. So I wrote, it's weird to say this, it had too much production. Does that make sense? Like it's too much?
Like it was overproduced?
Way overproduced. Way. This is where the drummer helped produce too. And like this one of the previous one, the sound of it was a little bit different. And concept album, this is a concept album. Something about a rock opera singer or an opera singer or something happened to him.
Right. And well, I mean, I'll give it a shot anyways if I have time.
Concept album is a little too much for them. I feel like now they took Rush and they took the concept of Rush doing concept albums. Smashing Pumpkins is not that band. They are not. Billy Corgan could have done something different, and I would have believed,
he could have done that
band
if he did that on his own.
Yes, very much. And I try to keep my comments to at least 3 in every album. In my third comment, too heavy in the synths and electronic samples. He did too much, and I will say this is my second worst album from them, and I will have to put it
in the 0.
It is not worth listening to. For me, it was, you could have trimmed the fat. Couple songs were good out every album. If you took those and made an album, probably be a 7, 8. But when you throw in this rock, opera, heavy synth, dude, I felt like I was listening to an 80s song sometimes. It was weird, like how you should just listen to it just to say, all right.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Like this is what you're doing?
Yeah. Yeah. This is what you're doing? Okay, cool. I mean, we'll go down this path, but the problem is the path was not, wasn't clear. But what's funny is the bassist wasn't there. Darcy or whatever, she left but she came back for a couple albums.
Right.
It's 3 of them. It's the drummer, guitarist, and the lead singer, and they're making this album. I'm like, who thought of this? Like, it's weird, man. Like, listen to it, you'd be like, I can't believe they made this. Like, I can't believe, like, it's one of the worst ones from them.
These are the guys that made Melancholy.
Dude, I'm not saying every band needs to.
No.
I understand the reinventing of people, reinventing yourselves, but this is not the path. If they would have stuck to Machina-ish, like type of era,
right?
Man, they would be in my heavy rotation. I do have one album from them that's going to be in rotation for me. We haven't got to it yet. But
ooh, I bet I know what it is.
I bet you do. So yeah, I gave it a 6. I'm kind of a 5-6 on them, to be honest.
I want to listen to it for the train wreck of it.
I would need you to text me and be like, man, you're right. Give me clarification, Okay.
Sure.
Machina,
yeah. I think this was the one that was this the one that had Tommy Lee on it?
Man, we need to figure that out.
We need to figure that out. Okay. God, we should have done our homework before. God, we sound stupid. I'm just kidding. It's just me.
Let's see.
This was another one for me where I think this one too. This was their like where he's like screw the record companies and whatever. I'm just gonna put it out for free on the internet.
I feel like that too. I really okay. I really enjoyed this album. Like
I liked it, and Heavy Metal Machine like stuck out for me because I was like, okay, if it doesn't sound like heavy metal, then I'd be like, damn it, Billy Corgan, why?
Actually, Chamberlain was back for it. This was Chamberlain.
Oh, it's Chamberlain? Okay.
Chamberlain was back for it. I want to say Moments in Elegy. Yeah, the Elegy album, that was Tommy Lee.
Okay.
That was Tommy Lee. Yeah. So I gave Machina a 9. I gave it a 9, and I wrote a very natural album. Like, it sounded okay.
I think I didn't listen to this like all the way through. Like I had to stop a couple times so that my brain is not like
sure. I'll tell you this much.
On with it. But
you have to remember this album was after Adore.
Yeah.
So you're talking about them getting back. Maybe that's why I kind of put it high. And I even put down the production. Every instrument sounds even. Like you could hear everything perfectly.
Yeah, that seems right.
I gave it a 9. And actually, I enjoyed that a lot more than Melancholy. A whole lot more. It's in my top 3. That is one of my top 3 albums of Smashing Pumpkins.
I would probably have to go back and listen to it again.
Okay.
You know, like I said, this one, when I try to listen to stuff, then it's like, oh, this thing happened, and then
yeah. I'll tell you this much: the songs that stuck out to me, and you're right. Heavy Metal Machine.
I think Glass and the Ghost Children. That just sounds like it should have been good too.
Yeah, I believe so. And Standing Inside Your Love, which is surprising. Like this is one of those albums where they knew the concept of it of heavy light, modern, like they didn't make a sharp left or right turn. They kind of stayed in their lane, and that's their formula. When you look at Melancholy, was that formula of it. Even Siamese Dreams was kind of like that too.
Yeah.
Where they knew, okay, the lighter stuff, the heavier stuff, where would you put it? Do you think you give it a rating? Do you feel like you could give it to it?
Mean, I would. I would be lying if I said yeah.
I will tell you this much. It goes in A. For me, it goes in A. It's an A album. It is. If you want...
I would say it was up there from what I remember listening to it. Because that was the one that was after Adore. And I was just like, ugh.
What a bore. The Adore was a bore.
I was like, oh God, there's got to be something. And then I was like, oh, this is pleasantly surprising. I'm good with this. And so, yeah, I don't know if I was like trying to cut the grass or something at that point when I was listening to it, and then people are yelling at me. And
so Rob listened to, he just sent me a text of his list. Evidently he's having problems with his iPad or whatever. He was supposed to be on the show. Sorry, Rob. We can try this next time. I hope you get on the show because he listened to Smashing Pumpkins too. He wrote down songs, and a lot of those songs was Melancholy, Gush, and Siamese Dream. And you're going to notice that's a little hint. I tell you what, Smashing Pumpkins, those 3 albums, it's peak Smashing Pumpkins. I will say, if Machina came after Siamese Dreams, I would even like it more than Melancholy. It felt like it should have been right after Siamese Dreams. For me, it does. I felt like Melancholy could have been the fourth album, especially when you're doing a double album. That's always like the fourth and fifth album. It's that's the 10-year cycle. If you think about it, you do an album, 2 years, album, 2 years, two. It's about 8 to 10. And when you get to your 8 to 10, that's where you got to reinvent yourself. Double album. That's where you bring out the big guns to start the next 10-year cycle of yourself. I feel like they kind of shot a little too soon. Machina, Adore, I that should have been like another EP.
Yeah, I mean, again, with all the stuff that he was going through at that time, but
yeah,
he's probably I mean, I don't know him, but it's like
those
this
songs,
is what I know how to deal with. This is how I'm going to deal with it, and
it should have been underneath Billy Corgan. It should have been a solo project all by himself. Give the Pumpkins a break, because Melancholy, I think they went on tour for 2+ years and they probably got wore out. Dude,
for sure.
That album was just everywhere in MTV. It was huge.
You couldn't turn on MTV without seeing Tonight Tonight or 1979.
1979 is one of my favorite songs from him. I feel that video and the song, it's just
great.
But Bullet for Magellan, was it
Bullet with Butterfly Wings?
That's the hardest song I think they have ever made. They always tread that heavy metal, that metal-ish. They walk that fine line, but they walk the fine line of poppy. They walk it very. He does a very good job of that. I feel like that's the niche of the band. I feel like it gives you Heaven and Hell in the same album. That's I always feel. Machina, I advise, listen to that.
Yep.
Out of any album, revisit that. I think you would like it a lot.
Yeah, no, like I said, it's one that I will definitely go back and listen to again.
You if I could say yes, I tell you what, it blew me away. Especially going from Adore to that, it was like, I know anything would be a palate cleanser, but I was like, wow, this is old Pumpkins to me. This is crazy. What we got? Siamese.
Speaking of Siamese Dream.
Siamese Dream.
Again, man, this is another one that's it's got some hits on it.
I wrote down the hits start coming. This is where the hits start coming.
Yep, Cherub Rock and Today.
That's what Rob put down. Part of those songs, he loved those parts.
Yeah, I mean, those are just like, those are just I don't want to say they're the feel good ones, but they
had a couple weird ones like Space Boy, Mayonnaise.
Disarm's another one. That's a good one. I really like Silver Fuck. That was like,
it was good. That is, I wrote that down. That's a pretty cool song in a cool title.
Yeah.
I gave that album an 8.5.
Yeah, it's up there. I mean, there's more like actually listening to it again. There were more songs on there than just the hits that I was like, okay, I can listen to this. I can put this on if I went to the gym. Like I could put this on the gym playlist, or if I'm going to be riding the rails as a hobo or something.
That's the hobo. Oh,
the hobo mix.
Hobo mix. Man, you're just coming out with great things today, aren't you?
I've had 2 weeks, man. I gotta let it. It's been building up.
I think it's a hobo mix. I think it's very good. I wrote down
for sure.
The hits are starting to come. This is where they figure out. Like it's funny how hits come where I know every band is trying to be noticed, if you will.
Yeah.
But you don't write for hits. You write the songs you want to write. I think with the first album, people got into it and started figuring out, okay, this is a new band. The second album, I wrote down, this is Gish Part 2. I feel like a lot of this album is part of the first album. Like it's all these songs were worked. They wrote them all together. All right, this is Gish. We'll hold on to these and do this later on. I wrote down, this is probably the best production of any album, maybe the top 3, that being their second album, their albums, I'll tell you what, are always a 9 out of 10 for me. They mix them so well. Whoever the mixer is,
whoever the producer and the mixer is, yeah, good job.
So Terry Date did some of their albums back in the day. No, sorry, like their newer ones. Kind of makes sense.
He needed to take a break from Pantera.
Yeah, they used them, pieced them. But their albums, man, Pantera always had good albums. Always had good albums.
Yeah.
I wrote down Gish Part 2, hits start coming, production is awesome. I'm going to say it's right behind Machina. I think it's up there in the hobo mix. I really do. I think it's great. I think it's a 1-2 combo. This is where I was saying that this could be their Peace Sells type of thing, where you're like, wow, they can write really catchy songs. Like they're writing for the audience.
There were some catchy ones, and there were just some that it was like,
Yeah. It's just the little things that spurt in. You're like, okay, I got it. Sneaky, Corrigan. Okay, so we got a new one. Newest one and the very first one, which is probably going to be the new one.
Is it the new?
I mean, like one of the latest ones.
The 2021.
Yeah.
Sire, who knows? Nope, it's Gish or Jish. I don't really know how to pronounce it either.
Oh,
Jish.
Oh, I did something wrong.
Oh no, you son of a bitch.
Hold up. We already did that album.
Oh,
Shiny. Okay, Shiny I put there. Okay, the last one's going to be CYR. That's what it is. I messed up. Whoops. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter, right?
Doesn't matter. That's fine.
That's fine. Get
fine.
Dude, my favorite album. This is my favorite album of them.
I mean, okay.
I gave it a 9. I think of their first album. That is a great first album.
It's a great first album, and I guess again, it was one of those like we're trying that you can definitely tell the Smashing Pumpkins. The sound is there, like that's them.
Which is, man, I wish they would go back to something like that, like a lot.
I mean,
what would you give it? What would you give it out of 10?
Being as how it's a big college, album, college radio album.
That's when you're right, dude. I didn't even think about that. You're right.
I mean, I can see how it would be that because it's like, oh yeah, this is new and different, and
it came out during that time of Nirvana and Pearl Jam, and it kind of got lumped in of the grunge, but it was kind of like
doesn't have that grunge sound.
It does not. It's a hard. I wrote down great first album. I thought it was one of like every song was really good. You hear a lot of Rush influence in there. I hear a lot of Rush. If you wouldn't have told me he was a Rush fan, I wouldn't have put it together. But when I heard he was in the documentary for Rush, like he's that big of a Rush fan, when they did Beyond the Lights, you know, the whole documentary of Rush of every album, he was in there talking about it. He was like listening to them, whatever. I could really tell the influence from them. Solos, that's one thing I think they're missing too, dude. Those solos on that album are really good. I thought they were good.
Yeah, they seem to kind of have gone away from the solos.
I think that's something either they need to bring, when they go hard, they do a good job. I feel like they tune it in. They know they can, but they only do it sporadically. And I feel like they need to do a Machina, Gish. I feel like Gish, Siamese, and Melancholy is Machina mixed into one. Like if you took all three of those, that's Machina. I think that's why I dug it so much too.
It's like your top 3 albums altogether.
Yes, I really truly believe that Machina was that's where I thought Machina Part 2 could have been better. Like it could have been part of that. And that's where you heard the parts of Melancholy. You're like, why is this on this album? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where would you put Gish? How did you like it?
Again, it's up there as like a low A.
Okay. Is it better than Zeitgeist?
I didn't hear that one, so I couldn't tell you.
Okay. I can say Zeitgeist was a good comeback. I don't think it was better than Gish, personally. So I think that I think Gish is an A. Personally, myself, it's an S. But I think with 3 already in there, Gish, yeah, we'll just leave it there. We'll do top A. It's very listenable. In the trash can. Open your mind, man. Jeez, such a downer.
Seriously, man.
All right, how do you say this last album? Sear?
I say it's Sear.
Sears it is.
Yeah. Sears.
Did you listen to this one?
I did, and I was like, after Monuments and Shiny and Oh So Bright, I was like, oh man, here's 20 songs I have to listen to now. What the hell?
The songs were okay.
They were okay.
I gave it a 6.5, personally.
I mean, there's, you know, again, it's the up and down and the roller coaster.
Was it too poppy for you a little bit?
It was a little poppy, and again, they had like I really dug Witch. I thought that was
yeah. Why whatever. Cool. Yep.
Purple Blood was another one I dug.
So the beginning of the album was good to me, and it just they started with it starts like a 7, and then it goes down to like a 6, and it came back up to 6.5 for me. So it kind of always starts in that range. I do not like their later 2010 albums and on. I think if I look at it, a 5, 6, 6.5, 7, 6.5, like they definitely.
Well, and again, I think there's a lot of that, like just the electronic element of it that not a lot of people like.
Again, too much electronics in the music. That's exactly what I wrote.
And I feel like there was a lot of like the vocals, like his vocals were good, and then like I don't know who was doing the female vocals.
It had like 2 different ones. It was 2 different singers that were singing with him. They were nobody we knew. You know what I mean?
But it was just like, I mean, again, I guess it was one of those like, yeah, we're trying to do something different, so we'll have Lady X sing vocals.
Right. Yeah.
Whatever.
Another change to their music. Um, I just, I think if they went back to at least the 2010 era, you can't go back in the past.
No.
I understand that. If they can at least get to the 2010, those span of albums, they're 8s and 7s. You can at least be better than 5s and 6s that I gave the later albums. You know, it's like, for me, this one could be, I'll put it in Lawnmower.
Yeah, I would put it there. It's another background, like if I'm out on the porch playing with the cats or something. And
It definitely is. I feel like a lot of these albums could have been back to back. You wouldn't even know which one's which, to be honest.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, if you just let them play, and yeah, you'd just be like, oh, is this the same album?
Yeah. You'd be like,
This is like the 47th song. Where are we?
right? It's like,
What are we doing?
Beknownst to everybody, I did pack in 7 albums to 8 in 2 days. So I did give up to Adore its whole day to listen to back to back to back. Adore is the only album I could not get through. I couldn't do it. Maybe 1 or 2 I couldn't listen to. I'm like, this is torture.
Yeah, it was bad, and I try not to skip songs.
I do too. I try not to.
I try not to. I try to give it the whole, like, okay, let me just, because that's my job.
Well, you know, you got to give, like I was telling Lee, I'm surprised you listened to him. Of course I am. It's not fair to just listen to one album and you rate the band, you know?
Yeah.
But we do get into this notion. You notice a lot. Every 10 years is a change in music in every band.
Yep.
A lot of times. You always can do part 1, part 2, part 3. And you can see, okay, there is, you know, Machina, that's in the 2000s. All these, this is kind of higher. But a lot of their 2010 to 91, was it 91 or 92? The Gish came out. I think it's 91.
91.
Ish?
91.
Ish.
Yeah. 90 or 91.
They had a good 20 years. And when they started doing this new stuff, I'm like, look, man, this should be like a side project. You need to start picking out good songs. Yeah, you don't pick out songs for the fans, but you can't tell me all these songs are, you like them. There is no effing way
that you like all these songs. Yeah,
there is no way. No.
Oh yeah, he went out and he did that that Zwan thing for a few years.
Oh, dude, I forgot all about that.
Yep, and I don't remember if I actually listened to any of it. So
I didn't either. He didn't.
But I was like, oh, that's Smashing Pumpkins guy. He's doing this another thing. Okay.
Yeah, whatever. Some people got to get their creativity out.
And I think like the hard, you know, like the hardcore fans would be like, oh man, Zwan is like so very awesome and whatever. And
it's probably college shit. Probably college people or whatever. You know, not against college people, whatever.
God sure, you know.
I will give this band probably a 7.5 for the whole band itself. I think the first 2 decades were good, great, good, lost its place, really not good right now. Like, I feel like it's a tier, like every 10 years, 1 out of 10. So it's great, good, not so good. They need to figure it out because this came out autumn.
Yeah, whatever.
Sue me. A rock opera, really? Come on, guys. You need to come back after this tour cycle. Whatever they do, they need to go back to the drawing board or just stop altogether. Like, leave. Some bands need to figure out it's time to go.
It's time to go. Yeah.
I feel like this band probably could have left around Shiny, around that era, and just left kind of on a high note with a 6.5. Now you're just putting out stuff to put out stuff, thinking that, well, I'm an artist and blah blah blah. Well, I understand that, and more power to you for being an artist. But sometimes people don't like your paintings, and you need to figure out: is this for you, or is this for people? Because they are paying your bills, you know.
Yeah.
But they are that band now. They don't even have to put an album out. They can just say Smashing Pumpkins, and they can play the hits. Dude, they would get.
Oh, they would kill it.
They would kill it if they did an old, Melancholy, Siamese, Gish. Dude, they're golden. They don't even have to do nothing.
I mean,
Like Rolling Stones. The Rolling Stones.
Yeah. I mean, those guys are what, 150?
I know. He wrote Dusty. What?
Well, let's see what Keith Richards is, what, like 300, I think.
Dude, he's older than me, you, and Lee put together. Yeah, think about that for a minute.
I mean, he was like, he was teaching kids how to play guitar in like Civil War.
He was.
He was like 200 then, so
yeah, 200 then.
He's like a Highlander,
There can be only one. Dude, coming out with that, bro. That shows your age, man. How old you are.
Dude, well, I was talking to my sister about that yesterday.
About what?
About Highlander.
Dude, it is an awesome movie. I give you that.
The movies were cool, and like the TV show, I watched the TV show.
It was not bad.
And it was just like looking back at it, years later, like, man, some of the stuff, because it's like it's a TV show now, so now you have to find all these other characters, you have to find storylines, and I get that, but
yeah, I hear you.
It's like that was another one they probably should have ended it on like a high note instead of doing some of the weird stuff that ended up going on in that show. But anyway,
even the movies were weird. After the first one, it should have been a cult classic. Didn't do a third one, and second, third, fourth.
Yeah. Oh, the second one.
Yes. So Lee, okay, out of this band, was it easy to listen to the Smashing Pumpkins?
Mostly.
Yeah.
It was mostly easy to listen to.
I feel like it was. It was
for a door.
Yeah. I think when it got to the later albums, it was kind of hard to push through. I really wanted to give every album its own chance, but it was just one of those.
But it seemed like after like Oceania, it started kind of sounding the same.
That is a good point. Yeah, that's what I was saying, going through. Yeah, I think it's a top out of the 8 bands we've listened to, probably number 4. Dream Theater, Exodus, Metallica, them. I feel like out of them, Vader, actually, I'll be honest, Vader is a tie with them for me. If I could think about it, yeah, I would say Vader. Do that because you got. Well, okay, let's think about this. Cannibal Corpse, Dream Theater, Exodus, Gorgol. Yeah, I would say Gorgol's last.
Yeah.
New York Dolls. Then Smashing Pumpkins, Vader, Cannibal, Metallica. Actually, Vader, Metallica, Exodus, Dream Theater is my list of what it is. That's if I was going to listen to albums, that's the way I would probably go about it. Because Vader always got in that realm of it sounded the same. Like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? Drums are awesome.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, drums are cool.
Drums are cool. All right, John. It's the end of the show. Lee asked me, "Are you going to run the wheel to see the next band?" Yes, we are.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are.
You ready to do this?
Sure.
All right, look at me. I am shuffling all
Yeah,
day.
you're shuffling.
I'm shuffling.
Are there really 286 bands on there?
Well, I kind of threw in a couple others.
Oh, I thought
Lee's just throwing emotes in the thing the whole time. All right. There is no turning back. It's whatever it is.
It's whatever it is. All right.
I don't care what you people say. I don't care. See, see the purple, I believe, is the ones I kind of threw in that have like 5 albums or more. There is a criteria. There has to be at least 5 albums. You know what I mean? Like it needs to be a certain amount.
Funeral. Dark Funeral.
It was gonna be
Dark Funeral. I don't. I'm dreading that one.
Oh, you can't even tell. Black Flag.
Wow.
Hey, that's our first punk band, if you think about it. Black Flag.
Yeah, get some Henry Rollins. He doesn't do anything anymore.
And I don't think there's a lot of what is it? Albums from him, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think there is.
I don't think there's well. I'm on the edge of getting rid of Spotify just because that guy sucks.
Well, I also heard they're about to hike up the prices.
And about to raise the prices again. They just did it last year too, and like, there's no reason to.
I got Apple Music, no sponsorship. I love Apple Music. I pay $10 a month for whatever they can give me. It has been kind of interesting of getting songs like the Smashing Pumpkins. I did have to find 2 songs. It's not so bad. It's kind of hard, but it's not so bad.
Let's see.
Yep. So Black Flag. Yeah, Lee said it's interesting because you got to figure they started the punk movement, in the U.S., back in the 81, 80. They were part of that scene. Henry Rollins, dude. Even Dez, the guitarist Dez, something. He's been in the Misfits too. A lot of those bands back in the day, like, helped out each other a lot. It was a very centered, everybody helped each other out type of field of punk rock. That's what's cool about punk rock, man. That was the cool part.
Yeah. So, I don't know. There's a ton of like EPs.
They did do a ton of EPs, but we're only going to do studios. There's so many EPs, we just can't do it. There are exceptions, but only far and few between.
Right.
So, but
I mean, I'm just looking at it like, really? They put out 3 albums in 1984?
Yeah, right. What? But that is our next band. Everybody keep an eye out. I will say today is the last day we are going to stream on Twitter. I'm not doing Twitter anymore. I will put it out there when we're streaming, but I'm not going to be showing anything else on Twitter. Still be on Twitch and YouTube, but not Twitter. I'm not doing Twitter anymore. No benefit to it. There's nothing. If YouTube is the way of the show and Twitch, we need to go that way. Twitter, I will put out, hey, what time, what band, blah, blah, blah. I don't get any interaction per se from Twitter. If you are on Twitter, I'm sorry. I wish you would say something to us, but I have to cut a string to the balloon. I gotta let it go. So we're just going to be Twitter and YouTube after today. I mean, Twitch and YouTube. Yep, that's it. That's all we're going to do. So, but I'll put out the announcement and nobody sees this, so we'll do that. It's kind of a thing I've been thinking about over vacation, but that's something we'll talk behind scenes. So, all right, John, say goodbye to the internet.
Later, internets.
Bye, guys.